Classic Historical Tales presents The Last Reich. Hitler in Argentina, 1945 to 1970. The Frozen Veil, Antarctica, 1947. While the world turned its attention to rebuilding, mourning, or hunting war criminals, another theater of post-war intrigue was playing out on the most inhospitable continent on Earth, Antarctica. In December 1946, the United States launched Operation High Jump, the largest Antarctic expedition in history. Officially led by Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd, it involved 4,700 men, 13 ships, and dozens of aircraft. Publicly, it was a scientific mission. Privately, it was something far more urgent. For years, Allied intelligence had heard whispers, impossible whispers, of German activity in Queen Maud Land, an area dubbed Neuschwabenland by a 1938 Nazi expedition. That original voyage had dropped thousands of aluminum darts bearing the swastika, claiming the icy desert for the Reich. The mission had also mapped deep subglacial caves warmed by geothermal vents, large enough to house aircraft and small structures. British and Soviet scouts in late 1945 recovered fragments of strange machinery in the South Atlantic, high-grade steel, non-ferrous components, and oddly melted alloys that didn't match any known aircraft. Rumors grew: a Nazi base in Antarctica, underground, powered by some experimental technology. Bormann, far from the frost-bitten mystery, monitored all this from his Argentine compounds. The truth was too dangerous to ignore, but too fantastical to explain, because it was partially true. The Bell. In the final months of the Third Reich, a secretive unit within the SS, known as Die Glocke, the Bell, had completed the third prototype of a device cloaked in black site myth. Led by SS General Hans Kammler, the unit developed a bell-shaped object using exotic materials and fueled by thorium plasma and counter-rotating electromagnetic fields. It emitted intense radiation and reportedly distorted time around its core. 2 previous test runs in Poland had killed dozens of prisoners. The third model, the one that worked, was placed on a long-range U-boat and vanished in March 1945. It arrived, months later, at a secret dock under the Antarctic shelf. There, in a naturally heated cavern known only to a handful of SS engineers and Luftwaffe pilots, they built what they called Base 211. It had no need for diesel or generators. The Bell, encased in a Faraday-shielded chamber and connected to magnetothermal exchangers, powered the base's core systems: heat, rudimentary lighting, and even communications. The engineers swore it emitted a faint hum and, at times, appeared to float, ever so slightly, above its pedestal. They worked under the assumption they were building a last refuge, a Noah's Ark for a fallen ideology. Most were never heard from again. The Encounter. On February 19, 1947, during a reconnaissance flight over Queen Maud Land, U.S. Navy pilots spotted something unexpected: geometric patterns in the ice, resembling runways. 2 minutes later, their instruments failed. Radio contact vanished. One pilot reported seeing silver discs rising from the horizon. Then, silence. Byrd's official report merely mentioned a crash and unusual wind conditions. But in his private journal, later leaked by a Brazilian journalist in the 1960s, he wrote, "We encountered a force capable of flying pole to pole at incredible speed. We are not dealing with remnants of a broken nation. We are facing something far more advanced." The fleet left Antarctica abruptly in late February, months ahead of schedule. Several men were left behind and never recovered. Officially, hypothermia. Unofficially, exposure to unknown radiation. The operation was deemed a success in public. In reality, it was an admission of defeat. Back in Argentina, Bormann knew what had happened. The Bell could not be moved. Its energy levels were unpredictable. but it was functional, and it remained the insurance policy for the Reich's survival. He made it clear to his inner circle it would never be used as a weapon, not yet, but its existence would guarantee that no superpower would ever be sure of Nazi extinction. He told Hitler once, when the old man was still able to comprehend, that a small sun now burned under the ice. The Führer only nodded and muttered something about Thule and destiny. Eva, having overheard, said simply, "If we've gone to the ends of the earth for this, we truly are alone." The final veil. By 1952, U.S. and Soviet satellite flights avoided Queen Maud Land entirely. It became a cartographic blank spot, marked only by cold winds and forbidding cliffs. The Antarctic Treaty of 1959, supposedly a pact of peace, ensured no military bases would be established on the continent. But a clause, largely ignored by the public, allowed for preservation of prior territorial claims. Argentina and Germany were both signatories. To this day, beneath the black ice of Neuschwabenland, some say a quiet hum still vibrates through the cavernous rock.